Hello, welcome to another Tuesday News Day. I'm Adventure Argonaut and this is Golden News or the Golden News, where I discuss news, politics, current affairs. Before I get to the stories, let's see that it's actually working. Yes, the streams are working. Okay, let's get to the first story. So far right wins in Austria, like elections, I mean, or alleged. I guess whenever somebody makes that claim about something is far right, you should say it's alleged. And I'm not saying I am that I am disputing the claim that it's far right because I don't know so much about Austrian politics. Only know about Austrian painters. So here's an article. Austrian hard right, it's not far right, it's hard right party wins earthquake election after pledging to close borders and end support for Ukraine. Leader called for non-ethnic Europeans to be expelled. This sounds reasonable. Of course, call for non-ethnic Europeans to expel. Like, of course, that can go overboard. Like, personally, I don't mind if there are, a few Korean immigrants in Europe or whatever. Like, the the nuance is often lost in this. Like, there's a big difference between importing millions of, third world immigrants to a place than, having a few individuals from various non-European countries in a European country. Like, there's degrees of immigration and the kinds of immigrants, of course, and how the government will deal with them. But that's another story. So yeah, this is the leader of the party. He's I don't know. He looks a bit geeky and stuff. Like, don't you judge a book by its covers, but it doesn't seem like, some really, strong Chad kind of guy. Mr. Keikel? How do you pronounce the name? And of course, the left is calling them Nazis, which is like, uh, nowadays, like, whenever somebody else, you know, person A labels or group A labels group B Nazis, it's like it's a completely pointless argument. Like, if somebody actually calls themselves Nazis, that's a different thing. Like, then you can take it more seriously, and it's like, okay, what do you mean by that? But it's like, wanting to have your own country, and if that's all Nazis were, that they wanted to have their own country that's not taken over by immigrants, then it doesn't sound that bad, to be honest. But hey, I'm not an expert. So here's another article about it from the big Bulgarian cock. So here are the parties. So FPO. How do you say it in English? Because English don't know how to say with the umlauts and stuff. So this is the Freedom Party. I think you said it's the Freedom Party. Yes, or far right Freedom Party, FPÖ. That's that they got most of the seats, and the second one is VP. So that was like a conservative People's Party, OVP. So, and they're expecting them to form a coalition, but there have been cases like this in Europe before. That maybe all the other parties refuse to work with FPÖ, and this and this party, maybe they will form a coalition together, or maybe the FPÖ, the Freedom Party, isn't really gonna do what they promised, what is it? They supposedly promised that close borders and support for Ukraine war and all that stuff. Uh, because we've seen that, like Italy with Meloni, she was supposed to be the next Mussolini, and then she, you know, invited more immigrants to Italy and stuff. But yeah, I guess just have to look and see. Like it's uh, there's much else I can do about it except complain. Um, but I had a thought here, but then I heard a sound, and then the thought fell from my brain along with the sound. But yeah, the point is, like, it is still like because I don't have much faith in democracy nowadays. That, but it is still, and I think there's a lot of, let's say, manipulation of opinion in many ways, and irregularities possibly even in some places and stuff. But, like, the fact that this sort of so-called far right party won is even if it's not organic or whatever, it still does speak to the mindset of the regular European people, that that's changing to a certain direction. Like I would like, I don't consider myself right wing or centrist or anything like that. I don't. I think the left right paradigm is not very helpful. It's not accurate in describing reality. However, like nowadays, whenever something is labeled far right, it usually just means common sense. So, if it means that common sense is winning in Europe, that's good. That's all I want to say. So, let's move on to the next story. So, Iran supposedly wants to assassinate Donald Trump. That's what Donald Trump claims. So here is an article. Trump suggests Iran tied to assassination attempts, issues blunt warning. He threatened to blow Ukraine, Iranian cities to smithereens. Okay, I do like this comment if he used the word smithereens. Um, so, the former president's campaign said the meeting involved real and specific threats from Iran to assassinate him in an effort to destabilize and sow chaos in the United States. Um, Trump echoed that statement, sent a stark warning to Tehran about what he would do if he were president and leading candidate under threat. If I were the president, I would inform the threatening country, in this case Iran, that if you do anything to harm this person, we are going to blow your largest cities and the country itself to smithereens. We are going to blow it to smithereens, the former president sent to Cheers. Um, so yeah, and this, mentions the assassination attempts in Butler, Pennsylvania in July. And then there was, of course, the other attempt at the golf course, yeah, here earlier this month. Well, now it's already October, but last month. Um, but yeah, Trump suggested the two assassination attempts were tied to Iran during his rally Wednesday. There have been two assassination attempts on my life that we know of, and they may or may not involve Iran. But I don't really know, he said. So what is that supposed to know? I don't know. But I just find this claim to be somewhat outlandish. I don't really understand, like, why would Iran want to do it. Like, okay, but okay, there is one reason Iran might want to do it, because Trump is very staunch supporter of Israel, and Iran and Israel are not friends. uh, So in that sense, like, and I do believe that Trump has made a better case that he loves Israel more than Kamala Harris. So in that sense, um, Iran might want Kamala to become U.S. president. And also, like, if Kamala Harris is U.S. president, the country will continue to decline even further into chaos, I guess. That might also help Iran. So, in that sense, there is some merit to this claim. However, I just don't see that, even though, there might be some people who'd like to have some people in Iran who'd like to have a death note and just write Donald Trump's name on it. I don't think they really have the resources. I don't think they have the intelligence network, the pull in United States to pull something like that off. um, because just look at these past two assassination attempts. The first one was, in Butler during his rally, Butler, Pennsylvania, and it was clear that the Secret Service was acting incompetently, and it seems very much like it was deliberate incompetence. I don't think Iran would be able to control the Secret Service in that way, nor was I haven't seen any evidence linking the would-be assassin to Iran either. And then the second guy at the golf course, who was presumably wanted to snipe him. There was evidence suggesting his might be some sort of U.S. intelligence asset. So I don't think that um, Iran would really be behind it. I just find it very weird that Trump would be saying that. Like, it's like, he's treating these attempts on his life as some sort of political game, so he can just spout the usual Zionist propaganda. So I don't know, like. Personally, I'm not American, but, like, if I was like a lot of people, after the first assassination attempt, they would be like, probably thought that, like, yeah, I would definitely vote for him now. But, like, after he says, like, he's downplaying the importance of this, because it's much more likely that whoever tried to do it, it's more Western deep state agents who tried to get rid of him, or perhaps another country starting with an I. Not Iran, not Iraq. Um, so Ireland, of course. But then again, Trump does like that country. So it wouldn't make much sense to get rid of him. But those people from that country that starts with an I, they still don't seem to like Trump that much, even though he likes them. So it still makes more sense to me that it would have been them. But it's just really weird and off-putting, like what he's saying. Like, at least provide some evidence that Iran had anything to do with these events. I don't know. It's gives me a foul taste in my mouth. Okay, let's move on. So the next story is US is giving billions of dollars to Israel and Ukraine again. So the US sent $8 billion in weapons to Ukraine, and then they sent 8.7 billion in weapons to Israel. And see, this, like, Israel got a bit more money, just to show who's more important. Like, Israel says it secured 8.7 billion military aid package from US. So, they are officially, like, the US government is condoning the alleged genocide going on in Gaza. Well, it's definitely an atrocity and massacre, and or I don't know if there's anybody any left anymore. So I don't know if it's appropriate to call it anymore that is going on. I don't really know the details of what's going on there, but this is the West, our governments, what they do. Like, even if European governments might not be assisting Israel as directly as US, but still, they are mostly condoning it. And then, of course, Ukraine. It is interesting that countries like what connects Zelensky and Netanyahu. Like, what do they have in common? Like, what religious or ethnic features might connect them? And US is giving a lot of money to them, because you'd think US nowadays isn't doing so well, like in many regards, and economically being one of them. So how much money can they fart out of their fed asses to give to these two foreign countries? And why Israel? Why have they been funding Israel? Like, for Germany, uh, they've been also giving millions and millions of dollars to Israel over the years, and you can say there's a historical reason of something that Germany did. Well, they didn't do that to Israel because it didn't exist, but the ancestors of the people living in Israel. But why is U.S. U.S. According to the official narrative of the events of World War II, Israel, I mean, United States saved the people from the camps. But why are they still giving them money? Like, shouldn't Israel be giving United States money for their help? For saving their lives and stuff. I think it's just weird how the direction the money is going and all that stuff, and it doesn't. This is a nice article. I just noticed. There's this fun banner blocking everything. Whatever. You just need the headline. I don't want to read this crap anyways. I don't know. Let's move on. There's not much to say about this. Like, yes, shit like this has been going on for eons, and it's gonna keep doing that until somebody changes it. So, California, this is the shocking article of the week. California does something sensible, and it's of course relating to the digital law system, whatever. So, California forces digital stores to admit players don't own digital content. California Governor Gavin Newsom has signed a new bill that will forbid digital storefronts from using terms like buy unless customers are explicitly warned that they are paying for a license to a game which may expire at any time. And there's another article. Yeah, so new California law will force companies to admit you don't own digital content, you're just licensing it. If I was a lawmaker, I'd just make this, licensing thing. Like, there are probably very, like, good reasons sometimes why you would license software to the, the user instead of just selling the, but there probably are good reasons to do it. But now, of course, nowadays is mainly about control or making money, exploiting you monetarily. But back in the day, in the 90s and stuff, before everything was online, you bought a program, a painting program, graphics program, whatever. you bought it and came on discs or CDs and stuff, and theoretically, if you still have those discs or CDs, you could boot up the program to your computer nowadays and use it. Like, of course, there might be compatibility issues, like, if the program was for DOS or Windows 95, it might not work so well nowadays, but that's a separate issue, sort of. But anyways, so Gavin Newsom, this guy, scumbag, actually did something good, which sounds weird. He made a new law that requires digital marketplaces to make clearer to customers when they are only purchasing a license to access media. The law will not apply to cases of permanent offline downloads, only to the all too common situation of buying digital copies of video games, music, movies, TV shows, ebooks, or from an online storefront. Yeah, so this permanent offline downloads, this should be what GOG is. Of course, it's owned by CD Projekt Red, and they are going woke too. So who knows how they're gonna screw up? But it might be that the storefront and the games division of CD Projekt Red, that they maybe there's some difference there, distinction. Don't know, but possible to protect the storefront from suffering from the current year illness. But anyway, so I guess this should include Steam to the digital copies that you don't own, then you're just licensing them. Because there was some, I don't remember which one, because I don't use really other of these, licensing sites except Steam, but like some anime site or something that, like, there were two different anime sites and they merged together. So, and the other one was sort of, just faded away, and people would have been like, they were able to purchase in quotation marks, purchase movies and stuff from that site. But once the um, the site itself was faded out, then they lost basically all the stuff they had bought. So yeah, I do think that, like, because I've been thinking about this for years, like, what if and when Steam collapses somehow, you know whether it's, eventually it might happen. I don't expect it to happen in decades, but it's possible that they make some financial decisions, or, like, if Gabe Newell dies, or there might be some higher class managers who end up embezzling money, and that's gonna ruin everything, or simply because of, I don't know, really we are heading to fallout world, and services like that die. Like, what about, I have over 1,000 games on Steam, like, what's gonna happen? Like, part of me wants to see it happen, just because I want to see the games industry burn, and that's the next one of the next stories I want to talk about. But yeah, what's gonna happen? Like, Steam goes bankrupt. Are you just gonna lose access to the games, or will they allow you to download them? As long as you have storage space on your computer before that happens, or something. I don't know. But anyway, so yeah, in other words, um, you won't be seeing language like buy or purchase once the law takes effect in 2025. Okay, so it's next year, so it won't change immediately. And well, it's in California, but it might affect other places too. Like, maybe they will start similar policies in other places as well, even outside of the US, because of this law. I don't know. And of course, there are gonna be ways that this might screw you over or something, or maybe it doesn't really matter. Especially like if somebody is a hardcore consumer who just wants to consume and doesn't have dignity and doesn't care about his rights and stuff, they maybe they still keep shelling money the same way they've been doing before. But yeah, here it refers to Ubisoft's move to delete the crew from players' libraries after game servers shut it down. One of the most recent examples of how customers can suddenly lose access to the media they felt they owned. Yeah, this is, Ross from Game Dungeon or Accursed Farms. He's, championing it to save games from dying. It's a noble cause. Also, maybe a foolish errand. Maybe it should, all just. Well, no. I don't want to see games like, even like Concord. I wish there was a way to play it, especially now after you really can't play it. I'm curious. I would be curious to try it. But yeah, piracy is, it's more and more starting to seem like a moral imperative than nothing else. Like if you really care about your games and movies and stuff, because like just look at Star Wars, like because back in the 90s, George Lucas got like first ever like the HD remasters, which was they didn't really add anything, they just made them sharper, and I guess that's good. But then they went the special editions where they added all the CGI crap, and those versions sucked. And at some point, at least, people complained it was difficult to get your hands on, the original Star Wars movies and stuff. And if everything is digital and it's owned by some corporation or other like a financial or political entity, they might change something without you knowing it. So that is, it's good to have the stuff in your on your own hard drive. But of course, if it's just on one external hard drive, it might break one way or another. But whatever, it's sometimes maybe it's just good news, but yeah, it's just I'm not used to stuff like that happening. So, but anyway, let's move on to the next story. Yeah, so the Sweet Baby Inc. Wants to burn the games industry down, and that's actually something I share the sentiment, not for the same reasons as they do, but like yeah, let's have a look at this headline. So yeah, Sweet Baby Inc. employee admits goal is burning the games industry to the ground. Sweet, yeah, beautiful person. So yeah, there's some uh, like a presentation, and here it says, I guess I can make it bigger. So cool. So why am I here? We want cooler stories, a safer world, burning the games industry to the ground. And I'm not like quite sure what do they mean. Like maybe they just hate games. Maybe that's the reason they want, because there are people who don't really have fun or understand fun, so they just want to ruin the fun for everybody else. Maybe that's it. And or maybe they think that games and I just know it's trends for you, Iran and Israel. Okay. Anyways, so yeah, maybe they just wanna stop other being people from having fun, and because of course it's patriarchal and sexist and whatever homophobic to have fun and for guys to play games. Maybe that's it. For me, like because I like games, that's why I want to burn the games industry down, because I think the games industry has been spiritually dead for almost 2 decades now. Not quite, but getting there. And like for me, the symbol is the horse armor from Oblivion. Let's check when it actually was. Horse armor, Oblivion. Bethesda, of course, is the culprit. When was it? DLC, because there was the case. Okay, 2006, I guess. Yeah, that sounds about right. Oh no, this is maybe it was a bit after that. Okay, let's see if it's here. Okay, it was 2006. Yeah, so they Bethesda Game Studios released the first DLC for the game, The Elder Scrolls Oblivion, Elder Scrolls 4 Oblivion, charging $2.50 for access to an item called Horse Armor. Once installed, the player could visit an orc character, receive a set of armor to be placed on a horse. While the first set was free, each subsequent horse armor purchase would cost the player 500 gold. So apparently it didn't even like give the horse any extra protection like armor class or anything. Which I guess maybe that's a good. So it's just cosmetic, but and I do remember back then, when this stuff was, people complained, but apparently many people bought it because these practices have just been getting worse and worse and worse. So that's one reason why I'm not a fan of the gaming industry, and I haven't been for a long time. Long before people started complaining about wokeness and stuff. I've said this before, but maybe I should say it again because it's in my opinion, why what I felt already like 15 to 20 years ago, that the gaming industry, games industry was spiritually dead. Like it was already back then. The same goes for the movie industry, but they were more like starting to make their products by committee instead of people who actually know about the entertainment and storytelling and good gameplay and all of that stuff, or who are passionate about it, but rather it's like corporate committees and seeing the rising trends and stuff. So it was spiritually dead. And um, and somebody might argue that, oh well, but they are businesses, they have to make money. Well, just look at the state of the industry. Like, are they making a lot of money? No. Like, I think, of course, you need a degree of business acumen and a little bit of greed as well, certainly, to make a successful business. But you also need a good product, and preferably don't treat your customers as complete idiots. Although many customers are complete idiots, that's the problem, I guess. Um, but yeah, so anyways, the games industry, it was spiritually dead already back then, like over 15 years ago, before everything went woke. So it was like it was hollow, it was empty, and it needed something to fill it. And then it was the the parasite, the maggot of wokeness that sort of filled it. Like it was at least something. It was it had more color and taste than whatever the the hollow corporate crap was. That's my view on the matter. And but also wokeness itself might also have a certain kind of positive aspect to it. It's like like you have dead tissue on your body, dead cells, and then there's some things, I forget the term, like the biological term, or bacteria or whatever, that eats the dead tissue. In some ways, wokeness is that it's it acts as a writing mechanism. Like it sees the entity itself is weak and dying and already sick, and it hastens the death. so something stronger can rise from it. Like, the woke left invite, the woke left that is all for transgenderism and homosexuality and everything else, but they are the ones who really want to invite Islam to the West. And of course Islam doesn't like those things, so in some way they, it's almost like they want to be destroyed, like, something more, masculine and powerful to destroy them and take over. Like, and I'm not saying that, Islam is the most masculine thing or anything, but it's certainly, uh, stronger than whatever this insanity is that is still has taken hold of the West right now. That's just my few cents on it. But so I agree with something on what somebody from Sweet Baby Inc. says, but for different reasons. Okay, let's move on to the next story, the last story of the day, and that's the ghost of Woke or Yote. There's of course gonna be the Ghost of Tsushima sequel, the Ghost of Yote, and it's gonna have a female protagonist, and people are of course arguing whether it is woke or not, or people are supposedly angry that there's a female protagonist, but I think that sounds like a straw man argument to me, because look at the this woman. Like, it's not the fact that it has a woman, a female protagonist. It's like this kind of woman. Like, I don't think many people would have a problem, at least not the same problem, if the woman looked like the one I'm showing now, or like, the one in Stellar Blade. But this is like, like, she's not ugly, she's not hideous, but she's not something you wanna look at either. Like, this, I believe, is the crux of the issue. That, and of course, that the model, I believe, is is it Erika Ishii, something Ishii her name, and voice actress for the English dub, I believe, and who wants to play it in English anyways. And she is some far left activist, of course. And so yeah, it doesn't look good. But on top of that, like, I haven't played the Ghost of Tsushima, but I do remember when they first showed like the trailer of it, and I thought it looked pretty nice. But then it's like, it's only for PlayStation. Then it's like, whatever. And I know, I think it's, it has been released on PC nowadays, but I think there's still some features of it are locked if you don't log on to the PlayStation Network or something like that, and I don't want to do that. But yeah, maybe I'll try it at some point. But anyways, I don't think that uh, this sort of, like, as female samurai is doesn't sound serious. Like, a female samurai is fine and dandy if it's something, a bit cuter, not trying to be realistic or believable. But my impression, I could be wrong, but about Ghost of Tsushima, that it's still, it presents itself as a sort of serious game. Maybe I'm wrong, but this is like, and also, in current year, you swap from the male protagonist into a woman that looks like that. Like, it doesn't, because some people, like, Arch Warhammer, formerly known as Arch Warhammer, he's, said that it's not necessarily, I think it was him or V, but anyways, they said that it's not necessarily woke, but it certainly does seem like it. Just, just seeing this picture, your gut says that, yeah, it's not something I'm interested in playing. It's like I and it does, look visually nice and stuff. Some of the other pictures I've seen of it, but just the character, come on, it's not. And of course, it's a deliberate um, decision to make a character like this. The appearance of the main character isn't the be all and end all of to a game, but it is still it speaks to the motivations and the priorities of the developers. So yeah, I certainly wouldn't pre-order this. Well, I wouldn't pre-order anything, but definitely not this one. But yeah, that's the last story for this week. Not so many stories. Of course, there's stuff always going on, but maybe I can summarize my, ending closing statements for the week or something. And well, I don't know what to say. Like, just looking at the issues that I just covered, I think that the Trump claiming, suggesting that Iran might be behind his assassinations. Like, okay, like I have this sort of fringe theory popped into my head that, maybe it is like, maybe the people who actually tried to do it, like either they failed, or maybe they didn't really want to kill him. They just wanted to, scare him and say, like, play along, like you can put two and two together. Like, if you don't do what we say, the next bullet is gonna, hit you actually. And it's like, okay, and now he's just playing dumb and blaming Iran and getting the war. Because I remember almost 20 years ago, when George Bush was still the US president and he had his crusades and stuff going on. And back then, even they were talking about possible war with Iran, and I dreaded the idea, because I've always been against these Middle Eastern wars, because there's only one country that benefits from it, and it does start with an I as well. So Ireland, of course. Damn those Irish controlling the banks and Hollywood and everything. But yeah, I don't really have anything else to add. So yeah, I've been Adventure Argonaut. I thank you for watching, and please follow me on the platform you are watching me on. Bye bye.